Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the first episode of the second season of Words Matter. I am John Gillette, and as always, this is not content, this is a conversation. And today, the conversation is with Miss Laurie Faulkner. She is a content creator that I found on TikTok, I think. And it's just, she talks, her content is about ADHD and bringing awareness to ADHD. And she found a way to make it not only hilarious, but like really human. So I really connected with it, and I was dying on this very specific video had me dead. And I was like, I'm going to reach out and just see what's up and see if she would love to jump on this podcast.
What's this?
It was the video where you're walking and you're talking to your friend, and then you guys hit a moment where you pause. You're like, okay, we're going to do that later. And you're like, yeah, okay, ha. And then it cuts to your brain going, shit, I need to say something. It's been at least 2 seconds. We have to say something. And then like you're freaking out. And her video, then it pans to her and she's just listening to music in her brain.
Yeah.
She's not concerned at all. It's so exact.
Yeah.
It's literally exact. So, yes. So today's topic, of course, we're talking about neurodivergence, and what we're talking about is ADHD specifically. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about a couple topics. First one being masking, and the second one being like late diagnosis, which will take us into some other things, I think. I am going to do something different today that I've never done on Words Matter. So I am going to voice the production meeting notes, or like the containers. And the reason I'm doing that is because we have two neurodivergent people on this podcast. So there's a great potential that it just goes completely off topic and takes us entirely somewhere else. And if it does, girl, that's okay. Let's do it. But I also thought to myself, the viewers who are watching could be neurodivergent, ADHD as well. Mm-hmm. And it may be beneficial for them to see the power of framing conversations inside their own containers. It may help for them to see that. So I don't always do it with guests, and I definitely, damn sure never keep it in the edit, but I think I'm going to do that today. So with that being said, I would like for you to introduce yourself to everybody rather than that quick thing that I gave. Please tell the people who Miss Laurie Faulkner is.
I mean, where do I start? Which part do you want me to say? So I'm Laurie. I am 27, and I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 23. So I haven't actually known for that long. My job is a little complicated, as it is normally with ADHD. I'm qualified in about a million different things, and I kind of rotate them. Right now it's content creation. I started that in January, but I've been working with like various different brands before that, making kind of UGC style content and like paid ads for them. And then I was like, I feel like I can do this for myself.
Good for you.
So I started doing it, and I wanted to make it about ADHD because I wanted it to be something that I think matters to kind of share with the world, not just, content that is like a bit meaningless. Like, I mean,
empty.
For me, like, I mean, it doesn't matter, like what everyone else wants to do, that's fine, that's for them. But like for me, I wanted to kind of share a message with the content I'm creating. And I didn't really like know how to do that at first. I'm also dyspraxic. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll do something about that. But then ADHD seems to be like really popping off at the moment. And there's also a lot of misinformation. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try and be the person that's being and like saying things that people relate to, but like are actually realistic for ADHD, and not just like a lot of people like, I mean, my videos are funny, but I try to make them also realistic and not just funny or like.
Well, that's what I meant about like there's a level of bringing it down to a human level, which is what I really loved about your content. Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. I mean, alongside that, I'm also a qualified teacher from ages 3 to 11. I also run a children's party company.
She's busy. She's doing things.
I'm doing the things. Yes.
And we hear an accent.
Yes.
Where
I'm
is
from
that?
the UK.
We love that.
I'm actually living in San Francisco right now, but I'm from the UK originally, just outside of London, in a place called Reading. No one probably knows that.
I'm one of the only few, maybe, because I live there. But maybe I say the only few, like I'm the only few in the world that know. But yes, of course, like
I mean, British people know it. British people know.
I lived in Liverpool, so I know some places in England. Yeah.
I've never been to Liverpool. Well, I think like a lot of people don't know where Reading is, so I usually say London.
Sure.
I lived in London for like 5 or 6 years before I moved here, anyways. And I was at drama school there, so I've been through
So a lot of drama today. We're ready.
a lot of drama today. Yes.
Well, what's interesting when we're talking about like neurodivergence and ADHD, I found a space inside of this. I have a leadership development program, and one of the things I was doing one of our sessions, and I dropped into the concept of neurotypical versus neurodivergent communication.
Yeah.
Whoa. Like the room erupted because they had no clue that this existed. And I was like, wait, what? And then I also do keynote speaking. And so when I did a speech, I dropped it in there. The room never heard. They were like, what's going on? I was like, what is going on? And I've spent, when I was, I don't know, 15 years old, I was in school and ADHD was, a very difficult thing.
Yeah.
But I was taking medicine every day and blah, 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 blah. Back then it was Ritalin. And my last day of school one year, I forget what year, I just got rid of the medicine. I said, I'm never doing this again. I'm going to figure this out. And it took me literally 20 plus years to figure it out. But now that I know how to control, use, and manage my ADHD, it is like a superpower, like in every
is a
way.
superpower. It so is.
100%. And so that's why in my speech or in these sessions at my leadership program, it's like, it really helps people specifically in the corporate space understand how to speak to neurodivergent versus neurotypical. And it can change your company literally overnight. I think it really can.
Yeah.
Like it's interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, I see that.
Not to go too deep. So now, giving everybody the production note, the first container that we're going to go to is we're going to define the first topic, and the topic is masking. So for me, I think masking is, telling somebody A when you're really B. Or it's like, hey, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. You're not. But you say that. Or you're smiling and you're really actually overwhelmed and you want to scream. Like, you're like,
all the time.
oh my God, there is way too much going on. I'm overstimmed. But you're like, hey guys, like all the things. So for me, that's what masking is. And then if I take it into the communication space, we can mask on so many different levels. What about for you? How would you define masking?
That's interesting because I wouldn't define it like that. I would say that masking is kind of being a bit of a social chameleon and kind of having, quote unquote, a different personality with depending on who you're with, or depending on which movie you watched recently and who you relate to in that movie, I think maybe I define it like that because that's what it is for me. And yeah, I just think it's kind of like being different based on who you're with and knowing those people and being so intuitive to those people that you kind of end up masking yourself to be like them because you know that they're going to relate to that. And it's like a quick way to connect with someone.
100%. And I think that this is why I ask definitions, right? Because everybody has multiple definitions. That is also part of the definition. It's just a little deeper, which I love that you went there. So let's go there. So with that being the case, let me just ask you directly, can you remember the first time somebody said you seem fine, or the first time like you had to adjust kind of how you were versus who you really were, I guess? Authentic self versus the mask?
Yeah, it's such a hard question because it's like all the time, every day.
Totally.
So it's like even now where I'm much more comfortable with who I am, thank God. But I just think the first time, it would have been like when I was like a kid, like tiny, like. And do you mean like when someone called me out on it? Or...
No, I guess the first time that you can remember like having to adjust. Putting on that mask, right?
I've always done it.
It's interesting because I think the same for me as well.
Yeah, there's just no scenario in which isn't something in me that's doing that.
We've spent our entire lives adjusting rather than sitting in. For me, I'll speak for me. Let me not say we.
Yeah.
For me, I've spent my entire life, on stage and performing and doing like so many different things that alter ego is also a part of who I am. It's also part of my authentic self. So it's not necessarily a mask. But it is. Yes. But it's not. but so it's like, and I have all these, and some people would say like you have all these different multiple personalities, and like you get to know this person, and I'm different with her than I am with him, and this. But I think that's kind of how things are with ADHD a little bit. Mm-hmm. But there are definitely times when, specifically now, I can say that looking back, that I have adjusted and put on a specific mask or a specific persona because I thought that she would think it's cute, or I thought that my friends I'd get on with the whole group better if I just kind of went with it rather than kind of speaking up on something, or, those kinds of things. But yeah, it would be when I was young, for sure. Like at least the first time.
Yeah, actually, you saying that has just reminded me when I was a kid. I remember my mum being on the phone to one of her friends who, like, I just loved this friend of hers. Don't know why. Just had an obsession with her. And I was being a little bit obnoxious in the background because I wanted to be noticed by this friend. And like very much doing it on purpose. And then my mum called me out on it and was like, why are you being like that? Like, stop trying to be like that. And I was like, I still remember it. I still remember it because I still want to die.
Oh my God. It just triggered something. Sorry.
Literally. Like, and there's so many cases like that where I still remember being like, oh no. Like, I thought I had it. Like, I thought I was like in the bag.
Well, so that makes me wonder about another thing. Like, so you were just being you, and then your mom kind of called it out. You didn't realize that you were kind of putting on a bit or performing, if you will.
Yeah.
So was there ever a moment, I guess, that you were aware, like you fully were aware, I am performing right now. Yes. I am not. So give us a moment when you felt like you were performing rather than being Laurie.
So it's not necessarily a specific moment, but I can tell you when I went through, let's say like age 15, 16, 17, I had like a complete meltdown about my personality. And I was like,
oh, wow,
I don't know who I am. And I have an amazing family, and I spoke to them about it. And I was like, I just feel like I'm lying. I feel like I'm a terrible person. I feel like I'm lying all the time. And I feel like I'm like trying to be someone that I'm not, but I don't even know who that, because I'm trying to be so many different people. I don't know which one is me anymore. And like, literally, I was just stressing out about it. And I wasn't happy at the time anyway. Maybe we'll go into that later. But I just think that it just kind of got to a point in my life. I think at that age, you kind of become a bit more self-aware of the people around you and how they're responding to you and how you're responding to them. And it really matters. Like, socially, everything really matters at that age. And I just started thinking like, oh my God, like, are people thinking this about me? People thinking that about me? I'm behaving like this with these people, but at home I'm behaving differently. But like, is the person who I am at home me, or is the person who I am with these people me? Because I feel like I'm comfortable with these people, but I'm definitely comfortable at home.
Oh my God.
I was just like, I just was stressing out about it. Like, I went to therapy because of it. And like, then kind of, I talked about a lot of different things, and I'm a lot better now. But it's taken, like you said, it takes so much time to kind of get your brain used to that kind of inner turmoil, I guess.
As you're saying this story, it's almost comforting on my end. Because we're different in age. I'm 42 in a month. So I'd say a good 25, almost 30 years of my life has been an identity crisis. Like, I have no idea who I am. And it's plagued me so much. Is he a singer? Is he a dancer? Is he gay? Is he straight? I grew up around a lot of Black culture and singing and dancing and this and all that stuff. So I've had a lot of different racial things happening in my life from both sides. So it was like, is he part of this community? Is he part of that community? I never really knew where I fit. And I was always just trying to figure it out. And then also on top of that, my household that I grew up in didn't have a lot of social awareness. They were just, we're just the way we are, and that's that. Like, it's kind of vibes, right? Yeah. So they weren't aware that they were loud and boisterous and like in your face and like none of that stuff. Yeah, so I didn't know that was even something to think about. So I never had these, let's call them epiphanies that you had at 15, 16 years old. I didn't have that until I was 25. I didn't have this moment of like, what's going on in my life? Who the hell am I? So it's really nice to hear. I know that sounds like shit, but it's like really nice to hear that you went through that, because that was me as well. Because we invest in so much of these different things of who we are and how we are, and it just feels like me. And then when somebody's like, that's not you, for example, your mom calling you out in that moment, you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is me.
Right, I thought it was.
Like, what do you mean, Mom? This is totally me. Like, I don't know what you mean by that.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I think if you just made me think of something like, I think with neurotypical people, I'm not neurotypical by any stretch, so I don't know if this is true, but I think from speaking to other people who aren't neurodivergent, it's not even something that they consider. And it's just interesting because I'm like, saying I thought, and you were saying the same thing, like you didn't know where you fit, like you were trying to figure it out. And I think it's just such a big thing for people who are neurodivergent because we're overthinking it. I think that there's a certain level, neurotypical people, it's not even a consideration. It's like they might act differently around different people, but it's not something that they're even thinking about because it's just normal. It's like, for us, it's like, oh, wait, hold on a second, like this is so confusing. And
it literally hurts.
So
it's a phrase I say a lot is my brain hurts. And it like actually, people don't get it that are specifically neurotypicals don't get it. It's like, no, my brain hurts. Like my actual brain hurts. And that what you're saying is one of those, that's reasons why, right? Because they're just chilling. They're like, why is that a big deal? And we're like, it's such a big deal. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so then one more thing on masking. I'm just curious. Have you ever felt like what's the difference from somebody? How do I want to word it? Words matter. The emotional impact is kind of what I want to refer to here. The emotional impact of being loved for yourself versus being loved for the mask. Have you ever been able to feel the difference in the emotional side of it?
Yes, for sure. Even in relationships, I've like masked up to, a certain degree. And I think that also gave me like a bit of an identity crisis. So I was like, I think once you go so far like into masking being a certain person, even if you don't realize you're doing it, you get to a certain point and you're like, okay, now how do I change that? Because now that's who I am with that person. Oh my God. It's like you can't really change it. And so when you do have those moments where you're just, and for me, it's generally, in fact, I can't think of a time where it hasn't. It's always with somebody else who's neurodivergent. I just gravitate towards those people because I just feel like I don't need to mask around them. I can be my crazy self, or I can be myself that is like chill, and it doesn't matter which one I am. Whereas with somebody who's neurotypical, you've kind of got to be one or the other, because if you're crazy one day and then you're not the next day, it's like, okay, hold on. And then what I've had with people who have kind of felt that in me is they think I'm fake and they dislike me. 100%. And there's like, chatter about me in various groups and places I've been, because it's like, okay, well, why is she coming into the room one day and like completely owning the room and being like really overconfident and like talking to everyone, and then the next day she's like doesn't even want to look at anyone? And I would genuinely be like that. Whereas people who are neurodivergent, I think, back to your point, like I feel safe and like loved for me when I'm with them because they get it. Like it's not even they get it consciously, they get it subconsciously, they get it intuitively.
100%.
And I think that you can just be around them however you're feeling, and I can interrupt them and they're not getting offended. I've lost so many friends. I've lost so many neurotypical friends because I've interrupted them and they're like, you're so rude. And I'm like, just tell me, please, because I didn't even know I'm interrupting.
Please just say it. Just say, hey, love you. Can I please finish? You keep interrupting me. And I'm like, yes, sorry. Go.
Exactly. And when
I had no idea.
Neurodivergent friends, they do that.
And it's one of the things that I talk about in the leadership program is like when a neurodivergent interrupts you, that's the best thing that could happen to this conversation, because what they're telling you is I'm invested. I can't, if they're not paying attention and they don't give a fuck about what you're talking about, they're not going to interrupt you. They're going to be like,
yeah. exactly.
Or they'll look right at you and it'll be a whole different movie playing something else. But if we're interrupting, it's because we're engaged. We're excited. We can't wait to get into this conversation and interact with you.
Yeah.
And yeah, it does. We jump the gun, right? Like we just interrupt and we're like,
yeah, but that's fine. Like I love that. And I love being around those people because it's like you're bouncing off of each other. And you're calling each other out if it's annoying, like that's fine. No one's offended at you saying like, hey, Laurie, shut up, please. Like, let me speak. Can I finish? Yeah, of course you can. Sorry. But like, if I'm with someone who is neurotypical, I've genuinely had experiences where I haven't even realized I'm taking over the conversation or making it about me or relating to them too much that I'm making it about me. And then like I literally like people would just like ignore me. Like I'll message them to meet up and I just don't get a response. And I'm like, okay, what have I done? And then I'm overthinking it. And then eventually it comes out like, oh, well, that time that we met up, like I just think that you're kind of selfish and like you just talked about you the whole time and I just didn't really like that. And it's like, okay, I'm so sorry, but can we talk about it rather than you just ignoring me and just
that's the part.
Because I had no idea.
And that's literally what Words Matter was built for, is for those conversations to be had. I try to have real ass conversations here to help people have real ass conversations, right? Is because specifically inside of neurotypical versus neurodivergent, hopefully they can find language from this episode with us of letting us know that bothered them. Because the last thing we want to do, the reason we talk so much about ourselves is because we were so excited and we wanted to share and we wanted you to know everything about us. And so we're moving at a mile a minute and we're like, hey, you're cool and I want to be cool like you. And you should like, and it's really like endearing from us, but it's coming off as conversation fatigue. Or I had a friend where I would get really excited about something and she would say, hey, John, I'm thinking about blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, ooh, blah. And then I will go 7 minutes without breathing, like truly. And then I'm like, what do you think? And she goes, you said a lot. Like, where do you want me to start, bro? And I'm like, yikes, sorry. So that's a real thing. Yeah, it's a difficult thing. But, hopefully, speaking of language, so the next section, producer notes for the neurodivergence, we're going into the next container. So in this section, I just want to ask one question of these questions I built because we kind of touched on a lot of it. Sure. Which version of you feels safer in the world? The mask or the authentic self?
Now, the authentic self. For sure. Up until, I'm going to say even 6 months ago, the mask. I always feel like, I know I've been misunderstood for my entire life, and the misunderstanding, like I just touched on previously, comes from me being myself. And myself can be pretty up and down. I can be super confident, super talkative. I can go into a room, like, let's talk about, like, I was at drama school, going to the room for, like, warm-up, and I'm like, guys, let's go. I'm so buzzing today. Like, I'm going to lead the warm-up, whatever. Like, I would literally be that person. But then, like, another day, and I really couldn't tell you why, I'm like, please, the music is too loud. I'm just gonna sit in the corner for a second. And on those days, because people think that, I think once you're confident, people think that the confident person is you. And then as soon as you're like, quote unquote, like shy again, it's like, well, you can't be, because if you were really truly shy, you wouldn't be able to be confident, because that doesn't work.
This is such a good distinction here. I love that you're talking about this. Yeah,
and for me, it's like, people would often then say, you're a bit cold, like, or you are friendly, like, only when you want to be friendly. It's like, that's not...
But that's a part of ADHD, is it not? Like, so, emotional dysregulation, our ability to regulate emotions is, like, hardwired differently than neurotypicals. Yeah. And so I know, like, I was married at one time, 700 years ago, Laurie, and a very long time ago. And like in that moment, like I was the one that asked for the divorce, and I had gone through a lot of emotions with that and didn't know how to manage it. But by the time it got to the point that I told her I wanted a divorce, I was just like, hey, listen, I want a divorce. Yeah. And she's like bawling her eyes out. And I'm like, oh my God, I feel so bad, blah, blah, blah. But out here, I was like, yeah. And I felt like a full asshole like afterwards, but like
Mm-hmm.
inside, because you couldn't regulate. So when I hear you, when you
Yeah.
like, people say you're cold, right? I've heard
Mm-hmm.
that before.
Yeah.
It's vastly different now. I've made some real edits, and therapy is a thing. But like,
Yeah.
shadow work works, y'all. But I feel you. I can relate 100% to that. And so you're saying that now, going back to
Mm-hmm.
your, after I've interrupted the hell out of you,
It's all right.
um, being your authentic self is safer now because of why? Sorry.
Well, honestly, largely because of this content I'm creating. Um, I I am being myself. And do you know what? When I started doing it, I wasn't even being myself. And I really like sat down and I was like, right, if you're going to do this, you just need to do it and be you. And if people don't like it, it's not a big deal. Like, it's
Good for you.
fine. It
Good
doesn't
for you.
matter. But I did start off trying to be like, a certain way and like being really fussy about it. And I was like, it doesn't make any sense because that's not what I'm doing it for at all. And that literally defeats the entire point. That's
I
not what I'm
love
trying to
that.
share. And it's like freed me, honestly. It really has. Like, I I went through a breakup at the end of last year, and I think I lost a little bit of myself during that relationship because it was quite high pressured. Um, and I just think that, like, I don't have a bad word to say about him, but I just think that just because of the nature of it, we were both neurodivergent. He had ADHD as well, and I think that it just like got really intense from both sides. And like, I think I lost a little bit of myself in that, and was trying to be someone else so much that I got like a little bit confused, and I never started content creation because of this, because I was like, I want to do it, but I just feel like I don't actually have the mental space right now. I was just so like overwhelmed by like life and who I was trying to be.
Sure.
And then when that ended, I was like, right, well, I've got choices to make here. Like, I can kind of wallow in it, which I did for a
Good for
decent amount
you.
of time.
Feel the emotion, right? It's there. That's what it's
Yeah,
there
of
for.
course. But then I was like, do you know what? I'm going to just use this to kind of try and do what I've wanted to do for a while, but didn't really know how to start. And I think because I was in a vulnerable place, I didn't have the energy to mask. I literally, like,
Yeah.
I just had to show up as me because I didn't have the mental or physical energy to be anyone else. And so when I started, like I said, I tried to kind of be the person that I think people want to see me as.
Sure.
But I did I started creating content in a way that I did it, like I studied a lot. I studied other people who were successful a lot, and I watched them and I was like, right, what is it about them? Like, don't be them, but what is it about them that makes them successful?
Sure.
Always authenticity. Speaking to the camera like it's your bestie.
100%.
And people relate to that, and people can understand you, and people, there's this like, people are a little bit intuitively allergic to you not being yourself. It just doesn't
Ooh.
resonate.
There's a clip for the internet. We got it. For sure. I love that one.
Yeah.
Intuitively allergic.
Yeah, I think they are. I think, neurodivergent and neurotypical people alike, I think everyone can sense when you're not being you, and it does like kind of make you think, oh, I don't know if I want to like watch this person or associate with this person because I don't know if they know who they are. And it's not a conscious thing. I don't think. I think it's just like, maybe people don't feel safe around people who are behaving like that.
So there's a term that everybody's using right now. Well, I use it significantly in the leadership program, but psychological safety, right? And psychological safety, I think, is something that people with ADHD have been feeling for years and just didn't know how to articulate it and didn't know how to label it, right? And psychological safety, to my knowledge, or let's say my definition, as we've heard it can be different, is, feeling safe to disagree, feeling safe to be accepted for who you are, feeling safe enough to take a risk and missing entirely, and your friends or your coworkers or your boss not be like, these kinds of psychological safeties are real. And because we have ADHD, we have that sort of emotional sunburn that lives under us, right? You've heard the term, I'm sure, right? And so like, when somebody says one thing, it stings so bad because of the inability to regulate, like neurotypicals. It sends us and all these different things. to go back to the original question of like feeling safer with the mask versus authentic self. For me, I would say until recently as well, the mask by far, because I spent my entire life on stage or, wearing that, performing, if you will. And people love that guy.
That's what makes you good at performing. I'm telling you, like that's what makes us good at performing.
ADHD and he's a Gemini. Listen, we out here. We going. Give me the mic. Give me the mic. I'm turning it all the way up. Okay. So yeah, I'm the guy on stage, right? And so like nobody wants to talk to the guy that's very chill and doesn't have much to say and very relaxed. And these days, I spend all day reading psychology and discussing like how we can get into the nooks and crannies of why you can't say what you're wanting to say versus why. Like I'm into that stuff, which is very not John from 2 years ago, like not even close, right? And so, but in my brand agency, the number one thing that I've been saying for the past 3 years to every single client, it's so funny that you just said it. The number one thing I say is, it doesn't matter what you're selling. You are only selling authenticity. That's it. If you are inauthentic, I don't care what your product is. You are only selling you. And if you're not authentic, you're canceled before you even begin. Like, the world is not accepting you. They're just not. That's where we are. You have to be real because there's so much AI, because there's so much, ability to fabricate everything, because Instagram and TikTok have such, facades that we give to you, right? People are dying for HI. We're dying for human intelligence. We're dying for human interaction and engagement. And this is why Words Matter was born, so we can have a fucking conversation like human beings again. And it's lovely, right? It's just lovely. So, okay, going to the next container. It's good for our brains, right? It really does help for me as an ADHD.
Yeah,
like,
for sure. I mean, we're going on tangents. I love it though.
But that's what this is about. It's a conversation, not an interview, right? So this next container is called language and response. So the first one is, it's not that I'm faking, it's that I've learned how to disappear in plain sight. How does that land for you?
Facts.
Yeah. It doesn't need to be more. You can leave it right there. It's fine. Like it's
facts. Like, honestly, it is like, that's what I felt when I was saying to you, I went through a little bit of a meltdown when I was in my teens. Like,
totally.
That's exactly how I felt. But that's it. Nothing more needs to be said.
The next one is, I don't feel seen, I feel scanned.
I feel seen, I feel scanned. As in like someone who is like you're talking to?
Yeah, well, just in general, like, so we're always trying to feel seen. Like, that's where the connection for me, whether it's platonic, professional, romantic, it doesn't matter. Inside any relationship, I'm looking to be seen. I'm looking to have a connection. And when you don't feel seen, but you feel scanned, for me, it just feels like that person is seeing the exterior. That person is seeing the performance or the mask or the topical shit, and they're not really seeing what's underneath. That's what it feels like for me when I say I don't feel seen, I feel scanned.
That's how I perceived it when you said it. I just didn't know if I was perceiving it correctly.
There's no right or wrong, for sure.
I think, true. I think that I feel that less when I'm with neurodivergent people, for sure. I think, I just think, like going back to what I said before, I just think they see through it in like the best way.
For sure.
Whereas when I'm with someone who's neurotypical, and like I have loads of both neurodivergent and neurotypical friends, I just think that it's harder for them to understand that there's like more to it, more to you than what you're doing or saying in that moment. Because I could be saying something to you and I will be thinking a million other things at the same time. And
as you're speaking right now.
Literally, like I'm showing you one thing. And if you're neurodivergent, you understand that there's like a lot going on. If you're neurotypical, definitely that scan thing happens where it's like you're just taking the person at face value. And if I'm saying something that, like, often I'll say something just very bluntly, and I don't necessarily offend the people who are neurodivergent or who know me better. because they're not scanning me. They are going, okay, like I get it. I know what her personality is like. If I'm like freaking out, because I'll freak out if a plan changes, for example, and it will come across really selfish because I will literally be like, no, like it's not. I'm not going there. Like just not. And like, and
So
my friends,
don't push the podcast. Got it.
yeah.
5 o'clock.
Like, people who know me know, like, okay, this is a trigger for her. That's fine. Like, we'll talk about it.
It's a great example.
They do find it annoying for sure. Like my family, especially, like if we're out on a day out and I'm like, okay, well, I've got this plan in my head, and they're like, oh no, let's go for lunch here. I'm like, whoa, that wasn't the plan.
Totally.
Hold on, I need to go back to the original plan, because if we don't go for lunch there, then it's going to take 20 minutes extra to get to the next thing, but I planned the next thing to happen at this certain time, so now I have to reschedule that thing. And like, that's a real stress to me. That's a lot of anxiety for me. And that I can come across in that moment as really blunt, really selfish, really cold, because I'm literally saying to you, no, I'm not doing it. Like, we're not going there. And it's like, everyone's like, I really want to go to this place.
Shit.
I'm like, no.
We're not going. No. You should go another time.
Yeah. But we're not going, because I'm in charge of this operation, and like I've decided we're not going. And yeah, going back to seen and scanned, in that moment I would be scanned by people who don't know me as very selfish. To be honest, a little bit nasty.
That's a great way of taking it. I totally get it. It's a great way of taking it, because I have lost so many people, girlfriends, friends, you name it. It's like, and I feel like I deserve some credit, if you will. Like, okay, we've developed a relationship. You know who I am at my core. You know me. And I said something and it came off this way. And you got really upset. But I wouldn't ever speak to you like that. Yeah. Or I would never mean that. Yeah. Right? And so, like, an older version of me, now we're getting into communication again, is like, the older version of me would be like, yo, there's some credit that I've built up here. So you like that. Don't scan me. You know me, right? Like, but now it's like, no, because I do communication now. It's like, it's my job to relay and articulate it in the way that I'm shaping their experience. So I have to do that. So here's another one for you. The mask protects me, but it also makes me feel lonely.
Yeah. Oh, that's so true. Like, that is, I mean, I don't feel that now. Like I said, I don't feel that now. But I did feel that for the longest time. I mean, I'm 27 now. Like, let's say up until I was 26, even like a little bit longer. Like, I did. Yeah, I felt like that completely, because I just think that when I was a kid, when I was growing up, like, that was my safety mechanism. Like, that was how I got friends, because I knew how to be around those people. And I mean, I did it to extremes. Like, this is a funny story. When I was a kid, I always had toxic friends. Never did I have a healthy friendship, because I gravitated towards people who, like, I can read them easier. I can, like, because they're so, like, nasty.
Damn. Okay, Laurie.
I want to fix people as well. Like, I am such a fixer. And so I just ended up in those friendships. And like, when I was very, very tiny, like, pick the kid in the class that is like bullying everyone. I'm going to be their bestie. You tell me why. But like,
that's interesting. Okay.
I really, honestly, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. But,
we'll leave it.
Like, when I was, let's say, 6 years old, I was friends with this girl. She was like nasty to me, to everyone. And she was a little bit bratty, let's say, and spoiled. And I went to her house, and I was very much taught to not be bratty as well. Like, in my family, like, that was definite no. Like, I wasn't even allowed to, like, tell my brother to shut up. Like, that was like the worst thing ever if I said that. So like, I was taught, like, to be very respectful, have good manners, you know. Went to this girl's house.
One could say kind of posh.
I guess, yeah, of course. And I went to her house, right? And she's a little bit bratty. She's, kicking off at her mum, and her mum, I still remember this happening because I'm mortified. And she was like kind of throwing a bit of a tantrum, 6 years old, okay? And I'm like, well, okay, that's what we're doing. We're throwing a tantrum, so I'm going to join in. And I joined in, and I took it to the next level, right? And I kicked this poor parent's TV, like straight up kicked it, because I thought that's what we were doing. Like I didn't consciously think that, but like I was copying her, and I was like, okay, that's how we behave in this house. That's how we behave in this scenario. So I just went a little bit far, as I do with ADHD and just in general. And I kicked the TV, and like it fell, and it didn't break, thank God. But it was a hard kick. It was like, no, I don't want to do it. Kick the telly.
Wow.
And like that's better than this other girl even took it. Like, I leveled up.
Oh wow.
My mum found out about this, and I had to write an apology letter and walk it to the house to apologize to the parent for doing this. And I still remember having to do that because I'm so embarrassed still. Totally. I'm so embarrassed that I did that. But there's so many examples like that. Like that was just my safety mechanism. Like I just thought, okay, well, if I don't start behaving like that, then people are going to think I'm weird, or she's going to think like, well, why? Also, I would want to make people feel comfortable. That was such a thing.
It's like, that part, right? Like, it's very much so the people pleasing and trying to make sure that they feel comfortable, because it's almost like we innately know that we're a lot. So we're trying to mitigate some of that and offer them some comfort by being a lot in the way that they would appreciate a lot.
Yeah.
And so we give
a lot like that. Yeah.
So we try to match what we think would work for them, but that's how we end up becoming so lonely, is because when we go back to just being ourselves. But the good thing about that is, your content these days, it's obvious. It is you, right? And that's why I said earlier, I think I know, because doing this content, you're starting to just become yourself, and that's what you're being known for, is you being yourself. And that is such just a lovely thing. And I'm really happy to see that happening for you.
Yeah, that is honestly, it's liberating, to say the least. Like, I just feel finally like, okay, people don't hate me. Like, I get hate comments.
Okay, so now we're going to hit the production note again as we transition into a new container. This container introduces a new topic, and we're going to follow the same format. So it's time to define the new topic. We are talking, it's not really a definition per se. What we're going to talk about is diagnosis of ADHD in women. Mm-hmm. And I have a couple bullet points that I've just typed in here. ADHD often hides in women. It doesn't look like what people expect. Hyperfocused is praised. Emotional overload is misunderstood. Being too much, being blamed. Diagnosis often comes way too late and brings both healing and heartbreak. Yeah. There's a lot to unpack in this. I think I want to start by just giving you the floor, because you said that you were diagnosed not too long ago. And I just want to let you talk about it.
So I didn't know until, I didn't even consider that I had ADHD. I did when I was a teenager. I considered that I was autistic. I haven't been diagnosed with autism, but I thought something was happening.
Sure.
I don't know why I didn't consider ADHD. I also think my mum is a teacher, and she is very similar to me. Also, definitely has ADHD. And I think that she just sort of taught me to cope, because she was like, right, this kid is like me. And so she just gave me coping mechanisms from the get-go. And just because she didn't know she had it, it was like, okay, well, she's like me, so I'm just going to teach her how to cope. And
totally.
That's why I'm so okay now. And it took my mum a lot longer, because I had her to kind of help me. But it's funny, because the way that I found out is that I was at drama school. So I started when I was 23, and it was the drama school was amazing, and they made us go to like a counseling session before we started any classes, just to like check that we're okay.
I kind of love that.
Yeah, love it. Really, really good. And
kind of fucking love that.
Especially in drama school, everywhere should be doing that.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of mental health issues going on in drama school, for sure.
For sure.
And drama school causing a lot of mental health issues.
Correct.
So we went to the counsellor. We had like an hour session where we just like talked for a little bit, and I was just talking about my life, and her job was 50% of the time being the counsellor for the college, and then 50% of the time she diagnosed ADHD for the NHS.
Oh, wow.
And so we were just chatting, and she was like, Laurie, are you diagnosed with ADHD? And I was like, no, of course not. Like, I don't have ADHD. And she was like, I'm going to send you through, like unofficially, I'm going to send you through the documentation that you need to go through to get a diagnosis.
Sure.
Which I would have had to get a referral from the GP for, so it was really like nice of her to send that. And the more we were talking, she was like, I can't like say this, but I really do think you need to properly get tested, because she was like, I think you need to be medicated. And I was
it's like the triggers are exploding in her brain, and she just wants to say, but she can't, especially in England because NHS is very different, but she just wants to be like, oh my God, yes, you have it. Like, she just wants to say it.
She was like, I just think you need to go and get checked. And she was like, to be honest with you, Laurie, I don't know how you are functioning as well as you are because of the way that you're talking to me and like your struggles are in like social situations and in life in general. She was like, I'm genuinely impressed with you that you've kind of got this far, like, and not been diagnosed with anything, because just what I was telling her kind of about like me and how my brain works and how I am in social situations and stuff and how I feel. She was like, this is a lot to deal. She was like, do you know that you don't have to deal with this every day? And I was like, no.
And you're like, don't tell me that kind of shit. Like, so that makes you start thinking and like,
your experience. I mean, I think I didn't ever consider it because my experience of my own brain is all I know. So I was like, well, this is normal. Everybody like considers other people that much every time they're speaking, or everybody has like this level of social anxiety when they go into a situation. And like, she would just, it's just interesting. She was like, you don't have to feel like that. Life doesn't have to be like that. You can actually like fix that. And I was
so then the follow-up question to that is, first of all, that's incredible story. What, being diagnosed, when you then went and you got diagnosed, what did that do for you emotionally, mentally, and then relationally?
Emotionally,
just a small question.
Just a little one. Emotionally, initially, I don't think I really processed it properly. I was just like, oh, okay, I have ADHD. Like, that's fine. Oh, wow, okay. Whatever.
Very interesting.
I didn't really think about it. And then, because it was just, like, so normal to me, and I'm not sure I really believed it. I don't know why I didn't believe it. I just kind of thought, because to me, ADHD was, like, the kind of, like, hyper 4-year-old boy running around the classroom, not able to focus. But then when I sort of like, it was after when I went through therapy because of the ADHD, that I was like, oh, okay, like a lot of these things are because I have ADHD, rather than just normal behaviors. So like, for example, like when I was at school, I never, ever, never listened in class. I couldn't. And I just thought, like,
I get it.
That's just my problem. Like, I just thought, okay, well, that's just normal. And my mum, luckily, is a teacher, and she would literally teach me the whole curriculum
at home,
outside of school.
Yeah.
After school. So I would go to school, I would show up, and I would do nothing in class. And it was something I struggled with as well, because I was always told off for it, and it depended on the teacher. And now, obviously, all this makes sense. So as I'm going through this therapy, I'm thinking, okay, now it makes sense. And then the emotional side of it comes because I'm like, oh, like now I know why I was behaving like that. Like it depended on the teacher because I was masking. And it depends on what that teacher would allow me to do or how they would allow me to express myself in class. So like I had certain teachers where I was an absolute little shit in their class. Like I was being sent out all the time. I was just being irritating, like, you know, taking papers off the desk and running around the room with them. Like why? Yeah. But that's just how I was in that class.
Why not? That's
But then you asked me, like, how was I behaving in, like, a different teacher's class? That kind of hyperactivity and needing to kind of do something to entertain myself showed up in daydreaming or doodling.
Right. Because it's different per person, because specifically that teacher managed it differently, whether they knew or not. They were managing it differently, because that happened for me. I absolutely was the kid who got thrown out of 11th grade English, and I love language. It's called Words Matter. I love words. I love vocabulary. I love English, right? I got thrown out of English class every single day. My entire 11th grade year, they would put the desk in the hallway, the class before, for John, to the point where I was telling girls to come to the hallway and, you know, in the 6th hour, come like throw notes down the hallway. Like, I just every day. But another teacher loved my energy and just used it. Hey, John, I want you to be my assistant. I want you to go up here and do the board and do this. And it was a whole different experience.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that was me in math class. Like, I was always thrown out. I mean, I had
it was math. I got kicked out of math too.
I literally, and then I used to still be annoying outside the classroom. I'd go up to the window of the door and, like, you know, mess around and try to make people laugh.
For sure.
I mean, I had teachers that made me, like, do really weird stuff, like stand in the corner with, like, facing away from everyone because I couldn't, like, I was distracting people.
Well, this is like normal behavior for young kids with ADD or ADHD, right? It's just what it is, and it's how we move. And so I guess I think it's interesting to hear you say that, like, emotionally, initially, you were just like, because for me, what I found, and I've talked about this on another episode of Words Matter. We talked about it, and, you know, women weren't even really tested until recently. Like, it's great. It blows my mind. Like, what made you think that white men were the only people that could have ADHD? What the hell are we talking about? Like, people, what? So I have had something to blame my entire life. Truly, like, I got diagnosed in 1st grade. And anytime it was crazy, the teachers, the principal, my parents, it doesn't matter, they would all say, ADHD. So I had something to blame. I had an understanding. It seems like later in life, and like most women who are diagnosed, it's almost always later in life. They don't know, so they have to deal with what's wrong with me, or this is like, is this who I am, and like, am I just messed up and this and all that, and like, oh my God, and this, and it's like, that's horrible. Like, that fucking upsets me for them, because that's not okay. And it's like, to find out, for me, I feel like if I were in that position and I found out at 20-something years old that I've had this entire time, it'd be the most revolutionary thing in my life. But I guess to your point, it wouldn't happen immediately, because you can't process something like that.
So it is and it isn't, because you have so much to undo. It's not sense. Like now it makes sense. It's like,
I'm good.
It's like weird, because it's like you're so like wound up in this like state of mind where it's like, what's wrong with me? Why am I different to other people? Why are people thinking this about me? I don't think I'm behaving in a certain way, and then people are telling me that I am, and it's like you're so wound up in it. Well, for me anyway, like it's like I was on a treadmill. I just couldn't get off. And then when I was diagnosed, it still wasn't like, okay, let me just hit stop. Let me just walk off the treadmill. It's like you have to like slow down.
That totally makes sense.
And then, you know, then things start falling into place, and then you're like, right, okay, now this makes sense. And a lot of things in my life started making sense. And then I got, you know, the emotion of feeling like I wish, especially teenager me, knew this, because going back to what I said earlier, I was so unhappy because I didn't know what was wrong with me. I really thought something was wrong with me. And I knew that there was, I felt that there was, and I felt different to people, and I was having friendship problems. And to the point where like my school put me in, like we had like, I went to private school, posh.
That was not a shot, by the way. It's not a shot. It just is what it is.
Well,
like,
yeah. So
nothing wrong with that.
Yes, I did
Good for you. Like,
and we had like these rooms, like the day pupils had like a room where like it was like a communal area where you could like all hang out together. And then when we got older, they was split into like boys and girls. So like the girls' room and the boys' room. And I was having such issues with the girls, just being like nasty, like kind of off comments. And I removed myself from the situation because they were all kind of like bitching, and I could see that if they're bitching about each other, they're going to bitch about me. And I just removed myself. And to the point where the school put me in a completely separate room and was like, you can choose one friend to go with you, because I was just struggling so much. And I was so unhappy. I remember, like, to be completely real, I used to go to bed every single night and write a list of things I hate about myself on my phone.
Oh, wow.
Every day. And I didn't even consider that was not normal. I just was like, that's just how I felt. And I used to come out of school every day, and like my mum was really worried about me and used to just say to me, like, you literally look like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders. And we were having a conversation actually the other day. My mum said to me, do you know what, it's really sad, like now kind of going full circle, like, I'm really glad you can be yourself, because when you used to come out of school and I told you, you look like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders, you then used to start masking in front of me. And obviously I'm your mum and I know that you were masking, but I used to see her car, see her, and like switch it up, pretend I was happy, because I didn't want her to be worried about me.
Sure.
But I wasn't happy.
And you didn't even realize you were doing it. It was just happening.
No, exactly. But my mum realized, and then, that's when she overcame my kid's not happy. But that went on for so long. And I think, when I got my diagnosis, I was like, I wish she knew, as in, Laurie, teenage Laurie, I wish she knew that there's nothing wrong with her. And it's just like, it's just ADHD. And if I had something to blame it on, like you said, I think I wouldn't have hated myself so much.
I honestly feel almost privileged that I had that opportunity, but I do feel like a layer of guilt, right? Because I hate hearing that. I really hate hearing that because, we've talked a couple times and had a couple exchanges on Instagram or something like that. And we've had an incredible conversation today. And I think you're lovely. I think you have a bright energy and there's just this great aura around you. And it's just like, you're going to do incredible things. And to think that you felt that way, like that's upsetting because, again, just if you'd have known, you'd have been good. All right. Well, the camera died. We readjusted it. We're moving forward. I'm just going to go to the next section. So, because I have no idea what we were talking about. So if you missed it, just DM us. I don't know. Whatever. So the next question, last question I want to ask is like the relational side, right? Has it affected how you speak in a relationship? Or like ADHD and like how you talk or like how it shows up relationally in general?
Yeah, I think, before I would never have known to kind of say, hey, this is my ADHD. I mean, just what I said to you earlier, like sometimes I can come across as like selfish. I actually had a conversation with my boyfriend yesterday, I think, maybe the day before. I have just moved here with him to San Francisco. And it's a lot for me to deal with. And I'm feeling really like, and I'm feeling like my dopamine is low. Like it is.
And it's hard. You're 26 years old. Listen, I've lived in Vegas now for 7 years. I only got like 4 or 5 friends max. Because meeting people as adults, not easy to create friends. And then when you have ADHD, it's like they just sign off before they get it. They're like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot sometimes.
It is.
It's lonely in that regard.
Yeah, for sure. So that's been hard. I mean, I've literally been here for like a week. But I just said to him, like, I'm going to be real with you. Like, I'm grumpy, so please don't take it personally. But like, I am like really just struggling with my dopamine levels right now. And I wouldn't have known to phrase it like that if I didn't know I had ADHD. So it's like, I'm able to communicate better because I know what it is. Before I would have just thought, like, I'm being grumpy, I'm being agitated, and I would have got annoyed with myself for being like that, and I wouldn't have realised until it was like too late, and I'd been kind of nasty to him.
Oh, I love this so much.
I can call myself out on it now, and I can be like, listen, I know my dopamine is low because I'm not around my friends, I'm not around my family, and I'm doing a job that's remote. Like, my job is content creation, and I'm just like creating content all day on my own. He's working.
It's lonely as shit. It's lonely.
Yeah,
it's just
it is. And it's like, I don't even have, like, at least when I'm in the UK, like, I've got friends, like, I can go out in the evenings. Like, right now, I'm literally content creation, gym, and annoying him to get off his laptop and talk to me. And so, like, I know that that's a lot.
He comes home and you're like, hey, babe. He's like, oh, God. I like 1,000,000% can relate to this in the highest level.
I just info dump him as soon as he walks in the door. I'm like, I gained 4,000 followers today, and my recent video has 100,000 views in like 2 minutes, and I love it. And like, I'm literally like at him, and like, he's just needs to just like debrief himself and chill.
He's like, I need to decompress, babe.
Literally. And so I know now to say to him, okay, listen, I'm going to be like this, or I'm going to feel like this. And I mean, bless him, he's amazing. He was like, I'm booking you a skydive. And I was like, what? And he was like, it's going to get your dopamine up. In fact, it will.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's also going to make me lose weight when I shit myself, sir. Like, what the hell? Like, I'm not jumping out of a plane. Like,
I was like, maybe let's go to a theme park.
He's like, no, this is what it really is. He's like, babe, get your ass.
Get out of bed. I need you to fall from a height.
Oh my God. Well, you said something there that's perfect segue is like the articulation, right? Like, you're able to articulate it. And so what I want to ask you, as this is words matter, is there something that you're still trying to articulate? And maybe not, but is there something that you're trying to say or articulate, or you haven't found the way to really say maybe how something feels, or like get a point across or something like that?
I think I'm still figuring it out in friendships. I'm pretty good in like romantic relationships now.
Sure.
I like generally, do you know what it is? It's like, I'm all right one-on-one. When I'm with a group of people, I don't know how to communicate that. Like, I don't know how to communicate with them that something I'm doing is because of ADHD or because I'm neurodivergent. Like, that's where I struggle. Like, sometimes when I know I'm being annoying in a group situation, or I'm not contributing enough, and people are thinking like, why is she just sitting there like not saying anything, or like it comes across as rude. I don't know how to fix that, because I'm still like, do I kind of announce it to the group, or like, that's a lot, like.
But it's not. I think well, I don't know that you need like a Las Vegas sign, but like ADHD. Like,
I know, but that's one of my main things. Like, that's why I don't know how to deal with it, because I'm like, okay, I either don't say anything, or I'm like, I have an announcement.
Well, I think for me, one option that I do think you should announce it, and what we would call labeling, right? I think you should label it, but I hate to say should, because I don't want to advise. I only want to give perspective. I don't want to give advice. So for me, one perspective here is they may be thinking it already, and you just not labeled it. Another thing is to get away from some of the emotion around, hey guys, like, because the way that even the way you've just said it, and like watching your body language, it's like, like, so like, is there a way to start a group chat, and maybe in the text thread we can just drop a note that says, also, hey friends, we should do this tomorrow night, blah 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 blah. And I also have been meaning to say, sometimes my ADHD comes across like this. And I just want you to know, I'm not meaning anything like this. And if it does, just pull me aside and tell me. Or just like, I'm not upset if you do, because I'm aware of it. So I just want to put that on the table, because I'm enjoying spending time, blah, 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 blah. I think that would be beneficial, maybe.
I just stress that it's going to be like too much. Because I've been told my whole life I'm too much.
It's the biggest trigger we have. It's the biggest trigger we have. But I just believe that steering into the crash is, and that's a phrase that I used to have a podcast called Steering to the Crash. I think it's still on Spotify. Steering to the Crash. 3-minute episodes. It's cool. Very different version of John. But I
course.
think right. It's more like motivational, super positive, zero nuance. Everything is black and white. So like, but I think owning it, labeling it, steering into that crash. This is me. This is what I am. Girl, we all see your content. You put out 75 videos a day. Like we see your hustle. We know that you are ADHD driven. So it's not like it's a surprise to them, right? And so I think it almost is like walking in that truth in some ways. But that doesn't mean that it's easy. One of the things a good friend taught me was 10 seconds of bravery. 10 seconds of bravery can change everything. Say the thing that you needed to say. Do the thing you were afraid to do. And like, of course, there's like, people can help you say, that's what I'm very lucky to do what I love to do and help people communicate and articulate. But like you can find, whether it's me or somebody else, saying the thing that you need to say sometimes is freeing on both sides. And there's just hacks. I think for this specifically, I do it in a group chat, right? Because I know that if I did it in person, it would also be extra performative. It would be like...
me.
Be like, also, by the way, guys, DJ, cue music. Listen, and I just start like a whole choreographed routine. It'd be like a whole routine. Like they're like, what the? That would be me. That would be me for sure. So I think I'd put it in a group chat. Also because it allows me to really focus on each word and craft it meticulously. And then we're going into that pattern side of ADHD and digging into that. But anyways, listen, Laurie, I have so enjoyed this conversation today, getting to know you. If you are ever in Vegas, girl, we're going out. Bring the boyfriend. We are going out. We're going dancing. I'm going to see all the drama you got. Girl, we're going to have a good time. I'm so here for it. If I'm in San Francisco, I'll reach out to you. I haven't been in San Francisco in a while. I love the Bay. I love it. So, but yeah, listen, this is a moment where I want you to also blast your socials. Let everybody know where to go.
Okay. So my Instagram is _ Laurie Faulkner. LAURIE. And then my TikTok is pretty much the same. It's just _ Laurie Faulkner with an underscore at the end as well. They're the two places that I post mostly. And I kind of cross post between the two. But there's a little bit more on TikTok. I post a little bit more there. Instagram's 1 a day. TikTok is like 2 or 3 a day. Sure.
I have thoroughly enjoyed this. And, you know, for anybody, hopefully if this has helped a lot of people, whether you're neurodivergent or neurotypical, hopefully you get some insight on this. In terms of communication coaching, I do keynote speeches and all this different stuff. If you guys want to go to wordsmatterpeople.co, you can see all the free resources and all the things that you need to help yourself better communicate with people. This is Words Matter. That is Laurie Faulkner. I am John Gillette, and I've had an incredible time. Thank you guys so much.
Me too.